Imagine a son, now an adult, trying to navigate his life but always seeking approval from his mother before making any decision. He might want to break free, but an invisible force pulls him back into submission. Why does this happen? Why do some sons remain trapped in this cycle of submission, even as adults? It all comes down to the deeply ingrained psychological dynamics of a dominant mother-son relationship. Understanding these dynamics is the first step to breaking the cycle and reclaiming autonomy. The influence of a dominant mother on her son's development runs deep. From an early age, her voice, decisions, and control over his life shape his identity, confidence, and sense of independence, or lack thereof. Why does this dominance evolve into submission as the son matures? It often begins with an emotional bond that becomes overbearing and stifling. A mother's attachment to her son can be so strong that he becomes emotionally dependent on her approval, making it difficult for him to operate outside of her influence. This dependency creates an invisible chain that keeps him tethered to her even as he grows older. The fear of rejection or abandonment is another powerful force that keeps sons in submission. A dominant mother may unintentionally teach her son that his worth is tied to meeting her needs and expectations. To feel loved or accepted, he might believe he has to remain submissive and defer to her will. This fear becomes a subconscious motivator, compelling him to stay within the safe boundaries of her control, even at the expense of his independence. Another factor is guilt. Some dominant mothers use guilt to maintain control, often manipulating their sons with statements like, "I've done so much for you," or "You wouldn't be where you are without me." This emotional manipulation can trap the son in a cycle of compliance, as he feels indebted and responsible for his mother's happiness. The more he complies, the less autonomy he gains, and the cycle continues. The long-term effects of growing up under a dominant mother's control are profound. Many sons who are raised in this environment struggle with low self-esteem and a lack of confidence. Their self-worth becomes tied to their mother's approval, making it difficult to make decisions or take risks on their own. The constant need for validation prevents them from developing a strong sense of self and independence. In relationships, this pattern can cause issues as well. A son who has been trained to be passive and deferential may struggle to assert himself in romantic relationships, friendships, or even at work. He may default to a submissive role, unable to set boundaries or express his needs. This dynamic can cause frustration and resentment, as others may perceive him as weak or incapable of standing up for himself. The internal conflict between wanting independence and fearing disapproval can also lead to anxiety and depression. Sons may feel torn between loyalty to their mothers and the desire to break free. This inner turmoil can create chronic stress, affecting their mental health and overall well-being. Breaking free from a dominant mother's control requires self-awareness and deliberate action. The first step is acknowledging the cycle of dominance and submission. Sons must recognize that their behavior has been shaped by their mother's control, and that this dynamic is unhealthy. Reflection on childhood dynamics, such as whether their opinions were valued or if they were allowed to make mistakes, can help sons understand how they've been affected. The next step is setting boundaries. Sons need to communicate with their mothers about what is and isn't acceptable. For example, they can express appreciation for advice, but assert that the final decision rests with them. Saying no, even when uncomfortable, is crucial for reclaiming autonomy and building independence. Building confidence is another important step. Sons should practice making decisions on their own, whether it's choosing a career path, making relationship decisions, or pursuing personal goals. The more decisions they make independently, the stronger their confidence will grow. Celebrating small victories is important in this process, as it reinforces the idea that they are capable of standing on their own. Therapy can be an invaluable resource for breaking these patterns. Therapy can help sons navigate the guilt and emotional ties that often accompany a dominant mother-son relationship. A therapist can provide tools for healthy communication, boundary setting, and emotional healing, helping sons move forward with confidence and self-awareness. For mothers who recognize that they've been too controlling, there is hope for change. Healing within the family requires self-awareness and humility. Mothers must acknowledge that their role is to support their child's growth and independence, even if it means stepping back and relinquishing control. This shift is challenging but necessary for the son's development. Mothers should encourage their sons to make decisions independently. Instead of taking charge, they should offer support and guidance, letting their sons learn from their own experiences. Taking pride in their son's growing independence can be empowering for both the mother and the son. It's essential for mothers to trust that their sons are capable of handling life on their own and to resist the urge to control every aspect of their lives. It's also important for mothers to develop their own identities outside of their role as caretakers. Often, the overbearing nature of a mother is rooted in a lack of fulfillment outside of the family. By pursuing hobbies, friendships, or personal goals, mothers can create a more balanced and fulfilling life that allows them to let go of control and support their sons without hindering their growth. Fathers play a vital role in this process as well. Fathers should take an active role in supporting their sons' independence. They can model positive masculinity and leadership by showing that decision-making is a collaborative process. Fathers can also help by encouraging the mother to step back and support her son's autonomy. This creates a unified front, showing the son that both parents are on the same page. In families with deeply ingrained cultural norms, shifting these dynamics can take time. In collectivist societies, for example, mothers often retain a central role in decision-making even as their children grow older. Changing these cultural norms requires patience and understanding, but it's necessary to break the cycle of dominance and submission. Open family discussions are essential for fostering healthy family dynamics. These discussions should focus on how each member feels and what changes they would like to see. By establishing common goals and values, families can work together to create a healthier, more balanced dynamic. Breaking the cycle of dominant mothers and submissive sons is a challenging but rewarding journey. It requires self-awareness, open communication, and a willingness to change. By empowering sons, redefining the mother's role, encouraging active father participation, and fostering a balanced family dynamic, families can create a new legacy, one of balance, respect, and healthy growth. By taking these steps, families can set a new course for healthier, more dynamic relationships that will benefit future generations.